Yeah, that's about the direction of the wind.
This here, here's this way to walk right here. I, for years, have loved playing with bird dogs and birds, and since the bobwhite quail, the habitat has changed, and there are just not many birds in the wild. So we started playing with trying to get something to do so we could have a few birds. And while I was in the legislature, I went to served on Game and Fish Committee, and I went to all the different seminars around the state I could find, and see how I could start something for my own, and that's kind of where it started. But then, I think some 7 years ago, maybe 8 now, we opened to the public in February.
I mean, I've had a love for training and working bird dogs for a long time, and used to be into it real heavy some years back in the late 70s and early 80s. And as the habitat down where I live in the Mandeville, Covington area started to disappear and change, where you no longer had wild birds, I basically got out of it and got into other types of hunting a little bit more actively. And then just a few years ago, I decided I was missing it so bad I wanted to get back into it, even if we could just hunt woodcock. And then I started finding out about places that did the pen-raised quail hunts, and some places that I heard really the hunts weren't that good because the birds didn't fly that well or the terrain wasn't set up right. So I started looking for some places, and this is certainly one of them up here at Deep South Quail Hunts. And I met Zach, and he explained his philosophy of how he trains the birds, how he lays the property out. I had a German Shorthair that I had trained myself and brought her up here, and she was doing real good and worked well with his dogs, and he's got a great operation up here. So I've come up here this season and plan to come back for many more seasons.
You see this ribbon on this big spot right there, right here on the right? All right, can you see the ribbon down here on this tree? All right, if a bird gets out and flies this way, all you have to do is holler safe. All right, if he comes up in the crowd, all right, and he's considered a dead bird. Well, let's say he just comes this way, but don't come in the crowd and turns that way. You just have to wait till he passes and then go down there and get him. Now, Jared DeLauder last time liked to shot everybody up here. He was right over there in that corner, and he shot right out over that oak tree.
But it made him pay attention the rest of the day.
Yeah, he sure did.
I've come up here a couple of times and hunted the quail that he's got up here, and he mentioned something about this thing, where he says it's just kind of a fun event that we do, and you get teams of 2 and you put out 6 birds, and you kind of get 12 minutes to go out there and see if you can get your birds done. And I got a little wrist injury today, otherwise I would have been participating in this. But so anyway, I mean, I'd never seen it done, and I drove up from Mandeville this morning just to come up here and see what it is, because as he was saying, he said, we can do this as a fundraising event. If somebody has a serious car accident, or somebody comes up with some kind of terminal illness or something like that, something where we can raise money for them. But at least if I see how the operation is run and how they do this little tournament, if you will, then you can get 3-4 teams to come up here, get a couple guys, and say, hey, let's go up there. It's only an hour and a half drive from Mandeville. We'll go up there and we'll spend the day shooting some quail, and it's kind of fun. You're sitting up here on the hill, you get to watch the dogs work, which is always, one of the better parts of hunting anyway. And, so having watched this, I mean, it's fun, and, when people miss, you're going to get a little ribbon, and when they make good shots, you'll hear the applause. So, I think it's something definitely worthwhile. I think people just kind of get burned out on golf tournaments all the time. Let's do something a little bit different.
I help my dad when he has larger hunts. Him and Frankie mainly do the smaller hunts that come in and guide. But when they have larger hunts or events like this, I'll help him come in, do some cooking, help get the events organized. Just basically anything that needs to be done, because Daddy's so busy trying to keep everything straight. I just try to be his right-hand man. We hope to attract folks from all over the country. We've actually had folks from Oregon, had some folks, 2 guys came in this past season from Georgia, stayed 3 days and hunted for 3 days, So we have a website, of course, deepsouthquailhunts.com, and we're just trying to grow it as we can. I mean, it has grown. I believe Dad's been in business now for 7 years, and it's slowly grown up. Starting out, I think he shot close to 5,000 birds his first year. If I'm not mistaken, he's close to 17,000 this year. So I mean, it's slowly but surely growing, and we just like to provide a good atmosphere for folks that doesn't have the opportunity to go quail hunt and pheasant hunt. We do pheasants as well and other things that they wouldn't get the opportunity to do if they lived in a city or didn't have access to.
I'm going to call this the Zach Classic. We got a Zurich Classic going on. This is going to be called the first Zach Classic, but it's kind of, what I understand, like a quail tournament. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it may expand and broaden the horizons of getting more and more people involved in the quail hunting.
I have my friend Frank Delancey that's with us and guides. He's out there guiding now, and he's an old bird hunter. He understands what we need to do. One of the main things that we've learned when people went from wild birds to pen-raised birds, the bob white is probably the hardest bird in the world to raise. I told somebody one time that if I get paid for shooting and killing as many as I kill, learning to raise them, I'm gonna be filthy rich. But because they're hard to raise, people tame them down too much. And the preserves have gotten a bad name, many of them, because they call them kick and shoot places. You kick them up, they fly about 10 yards, you gotta shoot them before they go down, But we've been very fortunate that we've learned some tricks that we do, and also they've come up with better medicines to use with birds, and so you don't have a whole lot of problems about having to kick them up now. So it's a lot better, and it's a lot more challenge for the sportsman. And what we do at Deep South is try to make sure the average man can go bird hunting and bring his son or grandson take grandpa again.
I grew up right there in a little small town outside of Baton Rouge, Baker, Louisiana, and was an LSU fan from time that I can remember. My first thoughts, and I always loved LSU football. And when I got an opportunity to get a scholarship there, and I told the other schools that were recruiting me, thanks but no thanks, I'm going to LSU, and it really worked out good for me because, then I got drafted by the Saints, which is only 80 miles down Interstate 10 right there at Baton Rouge. So people in New Orleans kind of already knew me because, they'd watched me play at LSU. And then what I did when I went there, when I got to the Saints, well, even in college, you find out just how many non-hunters and non-fishermen there are in the world. And I started taking guys that had never been before and say, let's go make a duck hunt, let's go squirrel hunting, or let's go catch some speckled trout or something like that. And then you get those people. Here are people that in some cases 18, 19 years old, and they've never held a shotgun or a rod and reel. And then when I got to the Saints, there were guys, one of the guys that played with Dave Wilson, he's from out in Los Angeles, California, didn't have the faintest idea what the outdoor world was about. And so we gathered up a couple of guys and said, let's go make a hunt. And he fell in love with it.
Well, of course, our website, I'd like to throw that at you, which is deepsouthquailhunts.com. That's Deep South Quail Hunts, Hunts. A lot of people leave the S off .com. But one of the things we do, our most economical package, is if 3 guys will get together and come. We put them out a half-day hunt. That's 45 birds. We send a guide and a dog. And on Monday and Tuesday, that's just $100 a man. Now, what I tell folks, they can't afford $100, they need to be working, they don't need to be bird hunting, But we do want them to come. And Wednesday and Thursday, it's just $110 a man. Fridays is $120. Weekends and holidays is just $130 a man. Of course, we have groups of larger or smaller, and just work like that. So, we're not real fancy. We do have a 30-foot camper. A lot of folks come, spend the night in the camper, build them a campfire, enjoy cooking out. And so, we just want the people to be able to quail hunt again.